Hey, today our Bible study comes from Matthew chapter 26, verses 69 through 75. Now Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him. "You also were with Jesus of Galilee," she said. But he denied it before them all. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Then he went out to the gateway, where another servant girl saw him and said to the people there, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." He denied it again with an oath, "I don't know that man." After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Then he began to call down curses, and he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken: "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. Now, in this setting here, Peter had followed Jesus to see what the Sanhedrin was going to do to him, and he was sitting there kind of in hiding. And he comes out now. It says Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, so he had left the area they were in, and a servant girl came to him. And she had seen Peter. She knew who he was. So she said, "You also were with Jesus of Galilee," she said. And Peter denied it before them all. There was a crowd that was there, and Peter said, "No, I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Then he went out a little further to the gateway, where another servant girl saw him and said to the people there, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." Now remember, these people must have seen Peter walking and doing things with Jesus. But again, he denied it again with an oath, "I don't know that man." Now, I don't want you to be mad truly at Peter, because Jesus had already told him he was going to do this. But the fear that was overtaking Peter at this time was probably pretty large, to say the least. After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Not only did they know Peter was with Christ, but his accent, his speaking, his dialect came in the form of the way Jesus spoke, the way they had heard the difference between them and Jesus and him. And his accent was that of Jesus. Then he began to call down curses, and he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Peter started getting belligerent. He was scared. He was scared. And he started going off. And he swore to them. And I don't know if it was vulgarity or if he said, "Oh my," whatever, but he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately, a rooster crowed. Uh-oh. That rooster that Jesus talked about crowed. It crowed. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken, and all Jesus' words are true. And then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken: "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." Uh-oh. So if you look at verse 70, he denied him. If you look at verse 72, he denied them. And if you look at 74, he denied them. And at the end of verse 74, it says, "Immediately a rooster crowed." So those 3 times had happened. And then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken to him: "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times," which he did. 70, 72, 74 in those verses. And he went outside and wept bitterly. And he wept probably because his faith wasn't where it needed to be. And although he had confessed he would die with him and for him, he also was probably hurt to the soul that the Lord knew him well enough to tell him what he was going to do prior to it happening. And he did exactly what the Lord said he was going to do. And the fear that he shouldn't have felt, but we all feel at times, Peter probably was thinking, I have been with him. He has always proven to be who he is. I know who he is. Why am I afraid? So he went outside and he wept. And he wept bitterly. It hurt him. I mean, it really, really hurt him. It wasn't just a sad cry. It was a bitter, agonizing cry because he was told what would happen and it went like it happened, even when he said it won't happen. Amen.